Welcome back to Hoochos. Today on Hoochos, I'm going to be doing a comparison review of my two top picks for entry-level 3D printers for people who want a tool and not a time sink. In this video, I'm going to be comparing and contrasting the P1S with the A1. I'm going to be talking mostly about the differences between these machines and the benefits that a Core XY printer has over a bed slinger, and kind of teasing apart what you're getting for the extra money and whether it's worth your money and time. Alright, so on this channel, I primarily focus on hydroponics, beekeeping, and providing people with practical 3D prints that they can download through my Patreon or purchase through my Amazon store or hydroland.com.au here in Australia. This is my prototyping room. In it, I've got three P1Ss, one with an AMS, a P1P, an X1C with AMS, and an A1 with AMS Light. Now, the reason I have a mixture of all these printers is because I wanted to compare and contrast the printers for practical people like myself that would like to invest in a quality tool but are unsure which of those quality tools is best for them. So immediately we want to look at the first thing that consumers are going to look at, and that is the price. Now, in the store right now, the price of the A1 is $399 US and $499 Australian. The price of the P1S, now this is both without the combo AMS, is $699 US and $899 Australian. So for Australians, that makes the P1S $400 more than the A1, and for Americans, it's $300 more. So there is a decent gap between these two printers. So you are paying a lot more for the P1S. But how much more are you actually getting? And does the A1 present better options for a lower cost? Well, it depends what you're after. So I think the easiest way to start a comparison of these two printers is by directly comparing their features. Now, straight off the bat, the P1S is an enclosed printer. This means that you can reach higher build area temperatures for more intensive materials like ASA and other filaments that require specific temperatures to print. The fact that this printer is enclosed also means that it is contained within a smaller footprint. So even on this desk, you can see that the AMS plus the printer itself takes up a lot less space, and this is a major consideration for a lot of people because space is limited for a lot of people. The A1 would actually need to be in an orientation such as this if you're running an AMS, and you also have to have it forward in whatever work area you have because your bed slings backwards and forwards. It takes up about 150% of the depth of the P1S. Now this actually has a caveat in the form of print bed area for the P1S. You see, the print bed of a P1S isn't actually a 256 by 256 square. It has an exclusion zone that can be removed, but it disables the AMS if you have it removed. So on larger prints, the A1 actually has a natively bigger bed print area able to be taken advantage of with multicolor printing. And that's not the only feature that the A1 brings to the table that the P1S leaves behind. We've got a nozzle cleaner at the back, as well as a really small filament wipe area, which wastes less filament than the P1S's filament wipe. And I have no idea why this is. It just seems to be a quirk of the A1. I think it's because this machine was designed after the P1S and incorporates more technology that they've been developing. Now I'm just going to rattle off a bunch of features that I absolutely love about the A1. The screen is an absolute pleasure to interact with. It's a low refresh rate color screen with an extremely intuitive UI, which you can interact with the moment that a print is done to reprint whatever print you are printing. And this is a far cry from the black and white, absolutely atrocious screen that comes with the P1S. And this is a real shame because it makes interacting with this machine physically jarring, to say the least. Both of these machines can be controlled via the Bambu Labs mobile app, which is quite intuitive. So realistically, you don't need to physically interact with this screen. It can also be controlled via the slicer, which is incredibly handy. And I find myself rarely, if ever, using the screens, except when I want to reprint, which makes this screen invaluable. Okay, so I'm just in editing. To be clear, you can reprint on the P1S using the hardware screen. It's just buried deeper in the UI and there's no pictures of what you're reprinting. So if you haven't properly labeled and named all of the previous files, you're kind of stuffed. And that actually brings me to a design quirk that I found with these A1 printers that you have to watch out for because it could destroy the screen on your A1. If we actually have a look at the side of my A1 screen, you can see here, this is actually a saw mark from the bed itself. What can actually happen is as the bed is slinging, if the bed gets dislodged, which sometimes does happen. I've found that these magnets, they are fantastic 99% of the time, but if the bed dislodges in a strange way, you will get an odd circumstance where the bed actually just saws against the screen as it's slinging backwards and forwards. And this has come very close to destroying the screen of one of our printers in one of our print farms. So my recommendation here would be to have the screen swiveled to the side when you're not using it actively. And you can even have this entire printer oriented side on so that you're using sideways bench space with the bed sling rather than having it slinging backwards and forwards against a wall. Another quirk that we discovered after running these machines for thousands and thousands of hours is that the first layer of the prints will start to deteriorate because of a known issue with the print head that requires you to tighten the screws behind the extruder unit. I'll leave a link in the description for those people that are running these non-stop and come across this first layer defect on the print bed. I'm also going to show you how to fix that problem a little bit later in the video. Another advantage that the Bambu Labs A1 has over the P1S is the P1S actually requires you, if you want to change out the hot end, to unscrew the hot end, and depending on whether you've bought a complete hot end kit or just the hot end, if you've bought just the hot end, you'll need to remove the heating elements and replace the hot end with the addition of thermal paste, then replace the new hot end, screw the fan on, and replace the silicone cover. Now on the A1, I'm going to show you how simple it is to change the hot end by doing it with one hand. All we do is we remove the front cover, we take off the silicone front protector, like so. We press the filament cutter, unclip the buckle here, and then the extruder just pops out, like so. And honestly, for newcomers to the 3D printing hobby, replacing nozzles is probably the only regular maintenance you'll be having to do on these machines. And while we're in here, these 3 screws are the problem screws that can cause first layer defects on the A1. Because when the head unit becomes unstable, the bed leveling, which is actually achieved by the tip touching the bed, is interfered with by the wobble in the tip of the A1's head. So if you've got an A1 that you've been running for years or something, and you're having first layer bed defects, tighten those 3 screws and I guarantee all your headaches are going to disappear. This only becomes apparent after like thousands and thousands of hours of use. It is a very small issue that you can fix in no time at all. It's just a matter of being aware of that issue. And to replace a hot end, all we do is the exact same, but in reverse. The hot end is magnetized, so we can just place it in and it will hold itself in place, like so. We replace the buckle, clip it on, replace a silicone cover around the entire unit, and put the face back onto our head. Simple as that. And I think that that process is completely underrated when comparing these 2 printers. So here in front of me, I have 2 examples of the same large print. One printed on the P1S with the XY printing, so the bed moves up and down while the nozzle moves around the bed and prints in place. On the left here, I have the bed slinger version, which moves the bed forward and backwards, essentially slinging the item. The reason that the XY axis is preferable is because it creates less artifacts on the print surface. As you can see here, we have an almost perfect print. It has some slight artifacting here. This, however, was printed on the A1. And as you can see, at the base, we have another almost perfect print. But as the layer height increases, you start to get artifacting on the top as the forces amplify against the bed, and any movement in that bed causes artifacting on the prints at higher speeds. Now this is a very, very extreme case. I am maxing out the height of the print bed, and this is a large object. And if I'd printed it at a lower speed, the artifacting would have been reduced. But these are just limitations of this bed slinger technology. And I think that the fact that this is a bed slinger is why they've actually included on this printer, in my eyes, what is an inferior heating element design. The heating element in this bed snakes throughout the bed and heats unevenly in comparison to the P1S. If we take an infrared camera and compare the 2 side by side. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn on the print bed. We'll just turn it up to 70 degrees Celsius, and I'll show you the design of the heatsink. As you can see, it snakes around the bed and kind of unevenly heats up the bed, initially anyway. After a while, it does even out and you get a more consistent heating pattern, but it is actually quite important that you take into account this heating pattern when you're laying smaller objects on the bed, or you have prints you've been struggling to get to stick. And this heat pattern actually explains a fair few print failures that I've had, especially in this area here and at the back here. And if we contrast this to our P1S, I'll do the same and we'll turn on up to 70 again, and we'll watch this heat, and immediately we'll start to see a much more consistent heating. And it heats just so much faster as well. I've noticed a distinct difference between first layer failures on this heat bed as compared to this A1 heat bed. And even when we are at temperature, you can see a difference between the hottest parts, which are reaching that 70 degrees, and the coolest parts, which are about 60 degrees, which is a fairly large temperature difference. And I think compounding this issue further is the fact that the enclosure will give you an even more consistent bed temperature, as opposed to the A1, where you are fighting the external temperature of the room with this inferior element, in my opinion. So the final consideration when comparing these two machines is speed. And the P1S beats the A1 by a long shot. Let's have a look at the slicer and compare large print files. Okay, so here is a really large model that I've just released. It's the Hooch pot. It's essentially a self-watering planter that feeds from a float valve below and allows you to grow your own plants in an infinitely refilling manner. So what we're gonna do is we're just going to take that over to our slicer and I'm gonna load it in. We're going to place it on our bed. It's going to be a massive print, yeah? I'm just gonna leave all settings, basic settings. For our A1, 16 hours and 30 minutes. So if we switch that up to our P1S, we slice our plate, we have a print time of 11 hours and 30 minutes. So that is actually a massive difference in print speed. So you're looking at a print time that is 30% faster with the P1S. And that is going to be a major consideration for a lot of people. Now, for all of the positives and negatives of both of these printers, there are workarounds. For the A1, with the print limitations that a bed slinger has, you can obviously run the bed at a slower speed and achieve similar quality prints to the P1S. However, you are sacrificing speed. And you can run the A1 on ludicrous mode, which gives you faster prints, lower quality, but at a higher speed that will come closer to the P1S. But these are all sacrifices that you're making because of an inferior technology, even though the product is as good as that technology can be. However, you are actually receiving an incredible printer straight out of the box. And it is plug and play and does everything that this printer can do with standard filament types. If you see yourself needing the extra speed, the extra print quality, the extra reliability of the bed, and all of the other little incremental improvements, the P1S is probably for you. I actually enjoy using the A1 a lot more than the P1S. And I think that's because of the improvements that were made by Bambu Labs in the interim between designing this device and designing this device with the low refresh screen, the nozzle wipe, the single-handed nozzle change, which I think is an absolute killer feature. So my final thoughts are, you really can't go wrong with either one of these printers. They're both upgradable to multicolor printing if you want to go down that path. The only major difference is speed and reliability at higher speeds. With your taller prints, you're gonna have to be a bit more careful with your A1. You're gonna have to print slower and you're gonna have to orient your prints correctly. And that kind of all just falls away for the P1S. It's just kind of foolproof. You can print anything that I design on my channel on this device, and it is a lot cheaper. It makes printing accessible to a lot more people. And if your budget's stretched with this, don't go to the P1S. But if you can afford it and you want to future-proof and say you want to play with other materials or whatever, or just want a more compact printer, this is the way to go. I now own 3 A1s and 3 P1Ss. I've split it right down the middle, but I'm probably gonna start more investing in the P1Ss because speed is something that I need for my business. But you need to make up your mind on what is important to you and go from there. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Hoochos. Happy 3D printing, and I will see you next time on Hoochos.